Hello, everybody. I am the scumbag superstar Paul Slater. Welcome back to the Fourth Wall, our first live stream directly to YouTube. Fourth Wall. I'm here alongside my podcast partner, BK. The lovely Z is on assignment today, BK.
Yeah, you can call it an assignment, but let's just be real about it. Let's just, be like exactly what it is. She's out being a grandmother today, having to be a chauffeur to the new mom and the grandbaby. So RL always comes first. But you know what? We got one hell of a show today.
Big one.
Paul, sitting across from me is the man himself. The one that, I don't know, we've had, 10, 20 people said they wanted to hear from this guy, and we finally were able to lock him down. Ladies and gentlemen, we have live in the studio with us today the one and only Curt Bombastic. Curt, welcome to the Fourth Wall.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Everything is going very well. How are you?
Oh, things going pretty good, actually, for me lately, so I can't complain. And if I did complain, who would listen?
No one listens.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, Curt, you yourself, and I can directly quote you because you put it in the open mic chat that we have in our Discord server that you are really looking forward to this. So apparently you have something on your mind after listening to some of our past guests, which I know you said you have, and people that you are very familiar with. So apparently you have something that you want to say or something that you want to promote. So please, you take it right ahead, and the floor is yours. What do you have to say to our fans?
Well, first of all, there's this thing with me and Baza. Baza Winlow he's always out there saying he's the best. He's the best wrestler. He can do it all. There's nothing he can't do. He's had this championship and this championship, and who cares about what titles he's won. He's always out there saying that I'm out there challenging him. Not once have I ever challenged him. However, that being said, we've had 3 matches now, ever since he first attacked me years ago in the old SL wrestling promotion that, I can't remember her name now for the life of me. She started it, and it was just a place for fun, but he attacked me, and that was around the beginning of the Trench Brothers, Trench Industries. We've needed to have a match, and we've had 3 matches. Most of them have been charity events, and we're right now tied. Baza, if you're listening, you're not the best wrestler out there.
Wow.
I am the best wrestler out there.
Well, you guys just had a match just this past Saturday at To the Fallen, right?
That's exactly right. And I made him tap to the clutch. Nobody escapes the clutch.
There you go, Baza.
Well, Curt, you've been in the business for a very long time.
Oh God,
a lot of people. Yeah, exactly. Oh God, yeah. And it's nothing that we know you're not ashamed of. Even though you're like some of us veterans. Even though I still have a few more years to catch up to you, but you're like, sometimes you're like, damn, I'm just too old for this shit, and then other times you're like, no, I love this. I love doing this. I love doing this. But you've been around long enough to know that, in some form or fashion, all of us, and Paul being a commentator, me being a commentator, performer, managers, and everything else, we all have egos. And if you don't believe, and if you don't believe that you're the best, then there's no sense in you going through and continuing to be in the business. Now, for Baza to say he's the best, in his mind, he truly believes he is, which is, very, very legitimate. But you're saying he's not the. But you're saying he's not the best. Is you're saying that you're the best, which is very legitimate. So you said that you two have only had 3 matches, right?
Yep. We had one of the. It was a charity event. I can't remember the charity event's name, but we went to no contest. Then we had a match at LPW where he went on to win. And then this past Saturday, we had a match at the To the Fallen charity event, and I made him tap out to the Canadian clutch. Okay. So right now we're even, but we have to prove to each other who the best wrestler really is, and I want to prove that, especially in LPW. I know he tried to He tried to win the LPW championship, but me and my Crimson Leaf Dojo group, we made sure that the trench industries wouldn't cheat to get that championship, and I was determined to make sure Baza would not win that belt because I want that belt.
Okay. So I'm sitting here and I'm listening to what you're saying, and of course, I'm paying attention in open mic, and Kimberly Smith suggested that it should be a 60-man Iron Man match between you and Baza. Now, that is from somebody who knows you both very well. She knows both your styles of wrestling. Me personally, I know who you are. You've never had a chance to sit down. Paul knows who you are.
Yep.
And I think Paul can actually see where I'm about to go with this. Something we've asked everybody, something that we've asked past, and we will ask future guests. You want to have, I guess you want to have a one-time end-all be-all match with Baza to just prove who's the best. What kind of match are you suggesting? What would be the match that you would want with him to prove once and for all who can actually claim to be the best?
I like the idea of having a 60-minute Iron Man match, but Baza claims to have a move that I've used in the past, but I learned from the great Darren Colt. It's the Camaro arm lock. If he wants to prove that it's better than the clutch, how about we have an Iron Man match, but make it a submission match? I have never, ever lost a submission match.
So
Okay,
where would you all right, real quick, where would you want to have this match at? I mean, this seems like something, if you're going to go an Iron Man submission match, I mean, this seems to have to be somewhere big that would be able to do this. Where would you
I'd definitely love to have it in VWE because that's my home promotion. But any place he wants to have it, let's do it. Even if it's in DCWF, let's do it.
Well, maybe Baza's
Okay. Okay, so I just want to make sure that I understand this because I understand what the premise of an Iron Man match is. 60 minutes, as many, falls or submissions or countouts over the next, or your opponent.
Yeah.
You're talking 60 minutes of basically the only way that you can gain a fall or a win is by submission.
Yep. Let's make it a little harder.
Are you trying to make it to where you two can't walk by the time this match is over with? Because I can see ankles getting snapped, knees getting put out, knees getting disjointed, I can see this happening. This is what you really want?
Of course. I've done that. I've done this before to other wrestlers.
Are you related to Mad Mike?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Are you related to Mad Mike?
Yo, speaking of Mad Mike, he had
not
crazy
really.
match.
But speaking of Mad Mike, I'd like to challenge him to a match in the future too, because there's another Victorious. You know about the Victorious
Yes.
show that Brooke always puts on. There's another show she's planning for September. And I signed up to be in that. Yeah, I signed up to be in that because I just enjoy the Victorious shows, and I thought it was time that me and Mike had a match to see just who really is hardcore. I know I'm not known for my hardcore wrestling. Mike is, but I like to test my skill against Mike someday. Mike's been a good friend of mine, so it'd be an interesting match, I think.
Well, knowing Mad Mike, it's going to have to be some suicidal death match. I don't know if you're prepared for that one, Kurt.
Well, look what he did to poor Benja on Saturday.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, poor Benja, yada yada yada. No, okay. So Kurt, now as you know on this show, we talk. We do talk a little bit about RL, and I'm sitting here listening to this challenger they're throwing out in SL, and yes, we all completely understand SL is a completely role-playing game. We get that, but we also know that we try to make it as realistic as possible to what we can do. Now, this is one of those things that I know in real life you had mentioned something about the days that you have to use your wheelchair. Are you intentionally trying to make your avatar reflect your real life, asking for this kind of match?
You would think I would be, but no, I think I'd walk out pretty safely because Boss is not known for his submission holds and stuff like that. He's a great high flyer. He's a great striker, but I can do it all. I could strike. I could I could do the high flying. I could do the hardcore stuff. I could, but I'm really known for my submission wrestling. So why not put the match into my advantage? I see Boz in the chat right now thinking about it.
He's there.
Yeah, apparently he is. Yeah, he's really thinking about this one because that's rubbing his chin and I'm all for people settling their differences in the ring and not just with words. I'm all for that. Curt, I don't know if I can get behind this one.
God, it'd be a great match. It'd be a huge draw, I think.
Okay, well, why don't we just go ahead and just make your dreams come true when we get all the details done for this Fed raiser that we're wanting to do. Why don't we just put you, Baza, and Mad Mike, and just say, hey, do whatever the hell you want, triple threat match, and let's just see what happens.
Well, that would be fun.
BK, the promoter's out now.
Wouldn't that be a match to see?
freaking every booker out that's going to be here.
And let's have Jen Parkin as the referee. Just to add that extra level of danger.
Wow. Okay, I was not expecting to start the show off like this. Wow. Okay. Okay. Is there anything else you want to throw into this? I mean, you, Mad Mike, Baza, and Jen all in the ring at the same time. What could possibly go wrong?
Jen's made her comeback lately. As you all know, she's been hanging around the Pain Inc. Promotion and LPW as well. And it's good to see because I've known Jen for a long time. She actually coached me when I was first in the old XWA, which was before VWE. She would coach me and just tell me what I've done wrong, what I've done right, and stuff like that in those days. So I have a long history with Jen. I've never faced her in the ring, thank God. But I have a lot of respect for Jen. So I would like to get involved because I would trust her judgment on something like this.
Okay, so Baza just stated, he says, have his people call my people and we shall negotiate.
Oh, there you go.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. I'm gonna leave that one to the bookers. I'm not even getting involved in that one.
Yeah, don't get involved in that, BK.
Yeah, right. Okay, so Curt, as stated, that we, like to find out about the person that is behind the avatar. And, one of the, most common questions we get, how did you become a wrestling fan? How did you start, with wrestling in real life that got you interested, and then you learned about it in SL? That's questions that, of course, I know that you will answer.
Oh, God, yeah.
Right. But before we get to that, I want you to take a moment, and if you want, and trying to get people to really understand the person behind the avatar, why don't you take this moment and tell people something about you that maybe they normally don't know or they wouldn't know about you because maybe nobody took the time to actually get to know you. They just know you by reputation.
I'm pretty much an open book. That's who I say I am is what I mean in a lot of ways. I've been a wrestling fan my entire life. In fact, when I was just a baby, my grandfather took me to Maple Leaf Gardens in the days where you had smoking in the arena and stuff like that. And he took me to see Gene Kalinsky face Dory Funk Jr. for the NWA Championship. Wow. And I was just a baby, and he took me to this event, and he would always watch wrestling with me and stuff like that. So I'm true, a purebred wrestling fan. I love the sport and entertainment of wrestling. I did it. I loved it so much that I actually went to training school with Ron Hutchison, who also helped train. It's Ron Hutchison and Sweet Daddy Siki, who also helped train Edge and Christian. I went to their wrestling school, and they sent me to Calgary, where I went to the Hart Brothers, one of their last classes, and I went through them, and I got sent to Japan for 6 months to learn from them as well. I actually did wrestling in real life until I was about maybe I was 32 when I retired, because I wasn't interested in becoming like the big world champion or anything. I just wanted to find out how it was done. I was that much of a fan. And once I learned, and what I learned in Japan was how to be black and blue. But
So,
and yeah,
so
they
growing
take that
up,
seriously over there.
I'm sorry, Kurt. So growing
Go
up,
ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
who were some of your favorites? You talk about going to like the Maple Leaf Gardens with NWA. I mean, who were some of your favorites growing up as like when you were a kid and do an adult, and even now, like who were some of your favorite wrestlers?
Some of my favorites were like Nick Bockwinkel, the Sheik, um, uh, Joe Brown. If everybody will remember him, I think of course can't forget Sweet Daddy Siki himself. He was a really interesting character. Guys I like now is I also used to love Eddie Gilbert. There's something
I love
about Eddie
Gilbert.
Gilbert.
He's great.
Oh, he was amazing. He had a head for the business.
Yeah.
He was ahead of his time.
A lot of people don't realize what Eddie Gilbert is. I mean, he is the one who basically started ECW.
Yes.
He came down here in Philly, and he wanted to bring Memphis to Philly. As far as he was called himself the King of Philly, and at the time I think it was called Eastern Championship Wrestling or something along them lines. And he brought Paul Heyman with him to be the booker. Not a lot of people know that he was like one of the originals, like start the groundwork for ECW.
He was one of the first to bring real life into the professional wrestling business too. Yeah. I remember when he ran over Jerry Lawler with the car. Yeah. Who did that back then? You know.
Yeah, I
guys
remember
like Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect. I loved him. I was so upset when he died. Yeah. I knew Chris Benoit. Say what you want about him personally and all that. What happened at the end of his life, but he was an amazing wrestler. First time I saw him do, he arch whipped this guy off the ropes and did a spinning tombstone so quick that you had to blink. Wow. If you blinked, you would have missed it. And the first time I saw that, I said, that kid has got something. He's got something that's going to take him far. And sure enough, look how far he went. Yeah, from world champion. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, you were talking about Eddie Gilbert being one of your favorites. And I've said this, first couple of episodes that Paul and I did, just us, that I was watching the Memphis wrestling stuff because I lived just over an hour from Memphis. So Saturday morning Memphis wrestling was my start in wrestling with my grandfather. And yeah, I remember Eddie Gilbert running over Jerry Lawler. I remember seeing stuff back then that you are seeing now. Like for instance, Stone Cold Steve Austin, one of the things he did, he destroyed one of McMahon's Corvettes with the cement truck. We saw him destroy the DX tour bus with that crane and that big heavy concrete pavilion. Well, back in the 80s, live TV, I watched Bill Dundee, and some of you all may not know who he is, but for a little bit of time he was on WCW running around as William Regal's manager, calling himself Sir William. They were into the big feud there in Memphis and watched Bill Dundee take a baseball bat outside during a live show and beat the hell out of a car with a baseball bat, so you could sit there and watch it happening in the parking lot. And it's like nobody did that until the 90s. And it's like this all was being done way before you all.
Oh yeah, Memphis was ahead of its time in those days.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've said it before. I watched Kurt Angle come through, Sid Vicious, The Undertaker when he was Mean Mark Calloway.
The Rock.
His name in there was Flex Kavana.
Yeah.
I always tell people, like even in SL, like people I talk to in SL, like if you want to see really good wrestling, like I know the stuff now is good. The Attitude Era was good. Some people say the Attitude Era was great. Go back and watch Memphis wrestling. Go back and watch early NWA. That was wrestling. You know what I mean? Like that was absolutely wrestling, man.
Yeah, you can even go on to well, I don't even know if the WWE Network, but if you have Peacock right now, you can go in and look at all the archives. And what they call Smoky Mountain Wrestling a lot of that is a combination of what was in the Memphis territory and what was over in the Knoxville territory. So
Cornette
you
ran
can
that,
get,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
Jim
Cornette ran
Cornette,
that. In fact, he
yeah.
was one of the first to really introduce guys like Lance Storm and Chris Jericho,
New
who was
Jack too.
the
New
thrill.
Jack.
Yeah, New Jack. Yep, but they're known as the Thrill Seekers. But when I was touring with them up north, they were called Sudden Impact. So
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so Kurt, you said that you were a lifelong wrestling fan.
yeah,
You said that your grandfather, you said took you back to the old days where you could still smoke inside the buildings. And you watch people that today that, oh yeah, I know who that is. It's like, no, you don't really know who they are. I know who they
yeah,
really are.
Yeah.
So you said that you liked RL wrestling so much that you actually got into it.
yes.
Okay, so what was that journey? And if you don't mind me asking, what happened?
That was a hell of a journey. Just the training itself. Training for wrestling is something that you just can't explain. You're doing squats, you're doing you're doing falls, doing bumps and stuff like that. Learning how to take a hit. It was some toughest training I ever went through, especially when I got to Japan. My God, do they take that seriously? One slip up and you're like scrubbing floors for the week.
How long were you in Japan for, Kurt?
6 months.
Wow.
It was an amazing 6 months because I love the Japanese culture, and I loved it. I loved being there. I can say I got slapped by a Tononoki.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
And if those of you that don't know, if you got slapped by a Tononoki, he was passing along his strength and toughness to you. It was a thing of honor. I remember when I got slapped, I didn't know what it meant back then. I thought, who the fuck is this old guy slapping me? Until someone explained it to me. And I was like, oh, okay, it's a good thing that.
Okay, yes, sir. May I have another?
How'd that feel? How did that feel?
The first, like he just came up to me and slapped me. And I thought I did something wrong. And I'm like thinking, who is this guy slapping me and why is he doing it? And then someone explained to me, like, you just got a huge honor. And they explained it to me. And I was like, oh, okay, that's different. But hey, it's Japanese culture,
But you said that he just walked up. He just walked up and did it. No warning. Nobody
Yeah,
said, "Hey,
we're just hanging out backstage, and then he walked up and he slapped me, and my trainer came up to me saying, "Oh, this is great! This is great! He really likes what you do and stuff like that." And I was like, "What the hell?"
I can imagine that getting smacked and that being a good thing.
Yeah,
Okay, so anyway,
oh,
so you were in Japan for 6 months.
yeah.
Okay,
And I like I said, I spent time in the Hart Brothers, the Hart Brothers dungeon, and it was a dungeon. I tell you, Stu. Well, by the time I got there, Stu Hart wasn't really training people, but every now and then he would still pull somebody aside and twist your knots. And when you got twisted by Stu, you weren't getting out. You just had to tap. There's no way you could survive getting a submission hold put on you by Stu Hart. But I was trained by Bruce Hart myself, and we're in the Hart Brothers.
So when you started wrestling, like, I don't know if you want to tell the year, but what year did you start wrestling? Like back in the 80s, 90s?
The late 80s. I would say about 89 is when I started wrestling, and and through the 90s, I was wrestling too, but I was wrestling mostly in the independents up in Canada. I even did the Death Tour with Chris Jericho and Lance Storm and a few others. So,
Were you ever in the ring
and
with
if
them
you don't,
guys?
yep, I've been in the ring with them.
Wow.
They're amazing athletes. Trust me.
Yeah, I believe it.
they had Chris really had a mind for wrestling as well. If you ask me, but we call them death tours because up in the northern territories, a lot of the roads were done on frozen lakes, and we were traveling around end of winter, beginning of spring, so a lot of the ice would be melted by then, or start melting. So you never knew if your van was going to go through the ice.
Oh wow.
So we called them death tours.
Wow.
Ice road truckers, right?
Yeah.
Like the whole thing with the ice road truckers, where they show the shots, and sometimes you see the trucks because the ice broke because the truck's too heavy, and they had to make that one last run.
Yeah. That's the only way to get to some of these communities too, was to go through their makeshift roads over frozen lakes. It was the only way to get to some of these communities, and when you get there, you have a crowd, maybe about 10, 20 people, but it didn't matter because you were there to entertain and just give the people have the people have a good time and have some fun.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what wrestling's all should be all about,
Yeah.
anyways, having fun and things of that nature. So that's completely understandable. Okay, so you said that you mainly stayed with the Indies, and you were, up in Canada.
Yeah.
How long? How long were you actually in the wrestling business? And like I said, you hadn't got around to it yet, but I'd ask you, how did you end up not being in the wrestling business?
Well, I was only in the wrestling business for about 10, 12 years, and I decided that by the time I retired, I decided that I was happy with what I did. I wasn't out to become a world champion or anything like that. I was told I was good, but I don't know. I maybe I could have been recruited if I kept my head into it. But I was happy with what I did. I wanted to know how the business was done, and I wanted to know how matches were done and stuff like that. And I just said one day, okay, I did enough. I was happy. I decided to get out before I got seriously injured. And I've had some matches where I got pretty badly hurt in some hardcore matches.
Speaking of hardcore, you saw who just popped into the chat, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Mad Mike's ears must have been ringing.
Yeah, it must have been. He probably heard something that was said, or somebody passed on a message to him, said, "Hey, Curt Bombastic's in here and called your name out for a triple threat, whatever the hell we want to do." We'll get Mike in here in a minute, because we all know Mike loves to talk, and he likes to do his promos and talk his smack and all that.
Yeah.
So we'll get Mike in here in a minute. Okay, so now you've done the RL wrestling bit, and I don't know that you. Okay, so you had your time, you had your career in the Indies in real life. So, by the time that you had decided that it was time for you to, hang the boots up, had you already found SL and started wrestling, or did that come like well after, or just a short time after?
No, I found SL itself around, I think when I first heard about it, it was 2007. And I first heard about it because of, as a lot of people may have heard about it, that CIS program where they did the one on based on Second Life.
The CSI New York.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought that sounded kind of interesting because I was involved in like the HTML chat rooms and stuff like that. But I never thought much of it. Then my really good friend Greg Benson, he was telling me about this new chat program that I've got to check out, and he was bugging me to check it out. At the time, he used to be on Second Life as Rough Solo, and he was in charge of one of the top racing sims.
Okay.
And he got me involved in Second Life. He was showing me all the stuff and how racing was done. And this was 2009, I think. It'd be 2009. And then 6 months later, he gave me all these links for SL Wrestling. And he said, I know you're a big wrestling fan, so there is wrestling on Second Life. You might want to go check this out, see what it's like. Okay. I went to a couple of shows. I think I talked to Ludi Graves.
Ludi Graves. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
we all know. And he had a promotion at the time, which I don't think really lasted that long. He gave me one lesson, and I think it was how to rope shoot, which I thought I did pretty good. and then I signed up for XWA, and I went from there. Like I said, Jen Parkin helped train me. I was with Derek at the time, and we were, he was involved in that MMA stuff. He was getting some training back then, and we were training each other. Oh, geez, who else? Seth, I'd like to say he had a part in my training, but Seth, well, we all know what happened with him, Seth Cameron. But as I went along, Vendetta, she helped train me as well. She started teaching me how to.
Names I haven't heard in years.
Yeah, she started teaching me how to combine the old AC PWS system, how to combine moves and stuff like that, and things like that. And yeah, she was mainly my big trainer. And then I was one of the first in SL Wrestling to start when we were able to use animations. I was one of the first to start using the MMA and martial arts animations in SL Wrestling, and I started the strong style movement. I'm proud to say that I did that.
Oh, I mean, the truth is the truth, and that's one thing that we do not lack on this show is the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, I started combining all the martial arts moves and making moves myself, and it just went from there. I'm a big supporter of the SL Wrestling community. I try my best to support it, to promote it. Yep. It's why I started the SL Wrestling Wrestling community
server,
Facebook page and group. I started that because I wanted one place where everybody can promote SL Wrestling and get to know what moves are for sale, what promotions are running shows, things like that. Just nothing but SL Wrestling, and I still go by that philosophy to this day.
So, do you feel like, as far as right now, the community? Do you feel like the community's in a better place than it was, say, 5, 10, 15 years ago?
A lot better. You don't see the infighting that used to be. It used to be really bad, as you guys can remember. But the community is in a much better place. Promotions are willing to work with each other. Oh, hell, recently we had Premier and VWE working together. So that's something you would never saw years ago. But it's a much better place than what it used to be.
Okay, so let me ask you this. With you being around as long as you have, and I've admitted I've been in several different feds for whatever the reasons were, but you've been basically might as well say from day one, you've been in the wrestling community, in the SL wrestling community all this time. What is something, or how would you, if you had the ability to take something, let's say ingredients from stuff where you had first started, and seeing how the business grew, seeing how the community grew a little bit and grew a little bit and grew a little bit, and then of course, like everything else, it kind of takes a dip for whatever reasons. But there's things you like and things you don't like. What would you like to see if somebody could integrate some of the old school ethics or some of the old school what's the word I want to old school train of thought, and put it with some of the way things are done today to combine? What would be some of the things that you'd want to put together from both quote unquote eras?
I think a lot of it would be common and stuff. Like I know you see sometimes women wrestling in the high heels, and and I have to agree with Derek Zane who argued about this. If you would have seen that in real life, that lady would have broken her ankle in that ring. But then you see it on Second Life, and it's like, just use some common sense. Don't use high heels.
I think that with glasses, when you see people wearing sunglasses or something wrestling, I always think that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's especially in the real life wrestling. The glasses would have been smashed to hell. But it's just really common sense stuff. But I love the cooperation that's going on right now. I can't say enough about what's going on. You know, I'm always getting invites to come to somebody's show and stuff like that. And I love that. You know, I could go to somebody's show. You know, I could promote them even though I'm with VWE and LPW. LPW, I love their philosophy on how they look at wrestling. Everyone's invited. I really love the fact that now I'm gonna admit this, but in my early years of Second Life, I wasn't really a big furry fan because I didn't understand the culture. I just thought it was some deviant thing. But then when I started getting to know furries and stuff like that, it started making sense to me. And now you see the furry culture huge in SO wrestling.
Yeah.
I love seeing that. That opens up a whole new audience for people, if you ask me, and on all great opportunities for people as well.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with that because I knew a little bit about furries when I first came in, but it actually wasn't until I got into wrestling that I actually started getting to know people who are furries who they would come to a fed because they liked to wrestle, but they had to be in human form, but they played their SO in furry form and they preferred that. And it wasn't until I got to just talking to some of them and becoming friends with them and went to a couple of shows and I'm like, okay, this, I'm not gonna lie, there was a lot of times I enjoyed watching a furry show over a completely human heavy show.
They know how to have fun.
And I don't know what it is about it. It just gives a different atmosphere. And
they have a great community. I mean, they have a supportive community.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Well, look at the support that LPW gets every week.
Yeah.
And that's because of the furry community. And I gotta say, of a toaster. I know he's out there listening.
Love Toaster.
Toaster.
The thing I was mad about the other day, I went to the show. They had the comms people do like the first 3 matches, and then they had another comms, and him and Samantha Fox came out, and I was pumped and upset at the same time because I couldn't stay for the whole show to hear Toaster.
He commentated one of my matches, and it was the first time I got to meet him. And I was backstage LPW, and all of a sudden I see this toaster sitting there. I'm like, wait, is that a toaster?
That's what I thought.
And Benja was like, "Yep, that's a toaster." And so I am then saying, "Okay, that's a pretty cool avatar." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm a toaster." And as soon as he started commentating for my match, I had to emote that I tried to put toast in him. So,
but I can attest though, as far as I'm sorry, BK.
No, go ahead.
I can attest as far as you, supporting the community, like, because we were in OEW, you were, one of the people who were there each and every week. You were always coming to our shows and everything, which we appreciated. Yeah. But I can attest to that, how, you supported a lot of the shows and stuff like that. And you were even in version 1 of OEW, weren't you? You feuded with like Derek.
Oh Zane. God, yeah. I loved my time in OEW. I had so much fun feuding with Derek Zane. He had such because he did it in real life as well. He had such a mind for the matches and for the business, and we would use what I knew and what he knew and try to make it and implement it in Second Life. And it was just so much fun. He was a blast. I'll always give Derek credit for what he does.
Yeah, he's good. He's very good.
Oh yeah, we had him on here as a guest. I'm sorry, we were laughing so hard at him, with all the fun he was having, but at the same time sitting there just listening to his story about his real life experience, and that it's like you try to imagine what it's like, but even when you're sitting down talking to somebody and you're going through it in your head, it's still hard to. It's just unbelievable. The amount of knowledge that the guy has, and I'm just a casual fan, and I love wrestling. That's SL, whatever. But to sit down and listen to somebody like you and somebody like Derek and others that have actually been in the real life community, that's just totally amazing. It's mind blowing just to hear the different journeys as to how you got to where you are.
That's what I love about when WWE does the Hall of Fame shows, and when I go to wrestling shows and meet some of the veterans, I love hearing about the stories, their past stories. That's my favorite thing to hear about. All their travels, what they did behind the scenes, things like that. It was just so much fun.
Yeah, that's the same way we hear. Like, was one of the reasons why we started this podcast was like we wanted to hear people's stories. You know what I mean? Like, we wanted to hear how they started, when they
Yeah.
became fans, etc. It's one of the big reasons why we started this.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Something I've always said: if Premiere and VW ever does a show together, like a super show, I don't call them free previews or pay per views because they're not paid. They're just super shows.
Yeah.
Right.
But if we ever do a show together, I want to face Derek Zane again because I had so much fun in our feud in the past. Let's revisit it. Just have fun for the fans again.
You hear that, Vince Aftermath?
I was sitting here actually kind of thinking, the fact that this FedRaiser thing. Why don't we just go ahead and we'll just book Curt in all the matches, make him run a gauntlet, and if he makes it through to the end, he could have the triple threat, anything goes match with Mike and Baza. How's that?
Just because I survived.
Just because you survived, we just want to make sure that your last match you go out in a bang, because that's exactly what it would be.
I mean, next week we're actually going to be sitting down with Vince Aftermath. Maybe that's a question we're going to bring up about if that's ever a possibility.
Oh,
a VWE premiere show, like, co-show, whatever you want to call them. We'll ask him that next week.
Yeah, actually it is.
Yeah.
We're sitting down with him live like we are with you right now. Next Monday, as a matter of fact, on the 31st for this Gateway thing, and it's going to be open. So yeah, why don't you come on in and why don't you make a point to pop over so you can ask him that.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that.
Okay, so Curt, you obviously everybody knows you by name. A lot of people know you a lot better than Paul and I do. But one thing that I will say is that, and Paul and I revert to this a lot because and when I say we were getting noticed, we weren't trying to become the stars. We were not trying to be the spotlight. We just wanted to push the envelope. We wanted to make others, basically that thing about please follow that. You were coming around OEW right as Paul and I was getting started when I came back that last time. Now you never said anything. You never said anything to me, which is fine because a lot of people don't say anything to me, for whatever reason. But Paul said that you were, kind of hinting around that you were liking what we were doing.
Oh, definitely,
So, with that being said, is that something now? Not necessarily what Paul and I did, but is that something that you feel needs to be done more in the SO wrestling community right now?
I think it does. Yeah, I think it opens up the audience more. It brings more eyes on the community, and I think it just works. It works it works in SO wrestling, if you ask me. So I would like to see more of that personally.
Okay, but one of the things that we know is, and Paul and I have talked about this a few times, and I'm sure you would agree, you have people that can go in and they can be told, okay, you're going to go in, you're going to do a promo with this person. You can be told, this is where this is the line that I'm going to use to start. This is the line that I'm going to use to stop. Everything else in between is going to be me. Don't worry, I got it. Then you have the ones that feel that if they're just not basically reading a script, they can't do it. How would you tell somebody that if they feel that they have to read line by line because they're either afraid to be themselves, or they're afraid that they're going to get sidetracked, or feel that they're going to lose the fans because they just can't do it? How would you come up to somebody and say, look, you need to express yourself. You're going to have to put yourself behind it. How do you bring that out in them to push them to be at the next level that you know that they can be?
Now, here's something that a lot of people don't know. I think I'm a terrible trainer. I always have trouble training people myself because I don't think I'm doing that good of a job. However, I would say just go with the script. If you think a script works, go with that. Rehearse it a few times so you know what to say and how to bring out that emotion. But just you be you. Just let it out. Show your emotion. Have fun with it. Don't be afraid of what you say, because a lot of times if you say something wrong, it's going to get people noticing what you're doing. So don't be too afraid of that, believe it or not. But
Mhm.
just have fun with it. That's all I can say.
Well, I mean, that makes perfect sense. And like I said, I've tried to do the same thing. People are like, hey, how do I do? And it's like you try to have fun with, but it can get nerve wracking. I mean,
Oh, of course, yeah.
even you still do it today. If you go, when the music hits and you're going through that entrance, even though it's in that, you can't tell me you still don't get a little bit nervous and get butterflies, because if you did, you'd probably quit doing it.
I get nerves every time. Yeah, before every match, before every promo, before everything I do in SL Wrestling, because I don't think I'm that. I don't think I'm that good. So that's. But I
Okay.
try to keep myself humble at the same time. But I'm always nervous with everything I do. But that just shows you that you care about what you're doing.
Okay. So you're self-proclaiming that you don't feel that you're that good because you second guess yourself, which is fine. That you feel that you don't teach to the potential of somebody because you're like you said, you question yourself.
Yeah.
So with that being said, and you questioning yourself, then how in the hell do you explain that every time in SL Wrestling, when you mention when you say what names pop up, you're at least in the top 5? You got to be doing something right to be mentioned in the top
I'm just
5 of
lucky.
SL
I don't know.
Wrestling.
It bewilders me a lot of times. I think I'm just lucky, yeah, in the grand scheme of things, if you ask me. But that's
Well,
the only
y-
reason.
well, I mean, I don't know if I'd call it luck. I mean, you've bound to be doing something right. You got the RL wrestling knowledge. You have, and I'm sure that you and Derek probably talk in real life. So you got, and you probably have it where, if you had questions, you went to him because you trusted him. He can, he told you because he knew eventually you would pass that information on, which is what you're doing.
Yeah,
And I can understand second guessing yourself, but don't you feel that if you were doing that in your mind, what you feel in your mind is a terrible job, if you actually were doing that terrible of a job, do you honestly think people would continue to track you down, to come to you, to IM you, to DM you, to ask your help if you were doing that bad?
probably not. But like I still get that even to this day. But it always surprises me when somebody asks me for advice and stuff like that. Because I ask them like I tell them like, do you really want my advice? Because I don't think I'm that good. But that's just who I am. I don't. You know, I I
Well,
just it's hard to explain. It's just one of those things that I don't think I'm that good at something. Even if I am good at it, I don't. I try to keep humble, and stay humble at it, because the way I look at it, if you get a big head over what you do in real life, then eventually you're going to lose that skill, right?
okay. Since you brought it up, and when I say you brought it up, you didn't do it intentionally. You brought it up about some. No, you mentioned about getting a big head, and we were talking about egos earlier, whatnot. Honestly, in your opinion, biggest ego in SL wrestling?
Biggest ego?
Biggest ego in SL wrestling?
Oh, Boz has got a big one.
Ah,
And he'll be the
knew,
first to tell you that
knew
too.
that was coming.
Derek's has a pretty good ego, if you ask me, and I love his ego. Who
Okay,
else
because
has an ego?
I've
Lately,
okay,
Brackman Wilder has an ego, and
okay,
Henry Parker too.
okay. Because nobody ever mentions this name, and I'm just very curious. DHA.
Oh, definitely an ego.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, I
I've
was
had
just
so many
curious.
matches with him, but he definitely has an ego. Look how many world championships he claims that to hold. Even though I've always stated that the only two world true championships in SL wrestling is in DCWF, BWE, and Premier.
Oh,
Ooh.
hey, Attic Dog, who I manage,
Oh.
BK is the world champion. Just saying.
But he stole the belt though, dude.
That's the rumor, but we're gonna address that next week. Don't worry.
All right, really quick, really quick, really quick. Let me go ahead and pay some bills. We want to
Okay.
thank all of our sponsors for today's show. Dark Star Radio at darkstarradio.com. Aaron's Domain. Limitless Pro Wrestling, aka LPW. All Victory Wrestling, aka AVW. All right. So, yeah. Okay. So you said that you just got done saying in your mind there's actually only 3 world titles that matter.
Yeah, that's my opinion though. That's
Okay. Oh, that's fine. That's fine that you have your opinion, this and that. But I mean, why just those 3?
because they've been around the longest. That's why, and they've been around. Well, the history of each promotion, and the lineage of each promotion as well has a great lineage. So
Okay.
that's why I consider those 3 the top 3 championships in SR wrestling.
Could you put BCW in that category though? BCW's been around a while.
BCW has been around a while, but they don't treat themselves as a big promotion. They like having the small time feel. So that's an in between, if you ask me. And that's nothing against BCW. Yeah, no. I love going to BCW shows. I would sign up to be with BCW if it wasn't for their time.
Right.
Okay, so you got your top 3, and personal opinion, completely get it, because I'm sure somebody else come in here, they would, may agree with you on 1 or 2 of them, and may not agree on any of them, and that's perfectly fine. But, and we said this to others on past shows, and once again, I will repeat myself. I can ask 5 people the same question. I'll get 5 different answers because everybody's got their own point of view, even though it may still agree with each other. So with you saying that the 3 titles are the ones that are most important to you because they have the most lineage, they have the legacy, they have the basically, in all honesty, storied histories.
Yeah.
And I've asked this, so I want your opinion on it. What is your feeling about the people who forget that? About, I'm coming in here and I want to be a champion within the first season or the first cycle or the first 6 weeks, blah, blah, yada, 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 just so they can say they hold it. What do you think about people who forget exactly that it actually is a honor and a privilege to hold a title and be the face of the company?
That's the thing is now a lot of people say, like, I'm going to talk because I haven't held that many championships, but it's an honor and a privilege to hold those championships. That means that the company is putting the trust into you to be their top guy. So you have to earn that spot. You have to work your way up to that spot. It's going to take time to get those championships. I understand that. But for somebody coming in saying, "Oh, I want to win that championship right away," it's not going to happen. I'll tell them it's not going to happen. Take your time, figure out your character, figure out your style. Just figure you out first before you can even start aiming for one of their championships, and work your way up to it. You're gonna lose, you're gonna win. Wins and losses mean nothing, if you ask me.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, it's how well you present yourself to the fans. Now, lately in VW, I haven't been presenting myself because of some complications. However, I'm looking one of my goals is obviously win the VW World Championship. I want to do that. I want to win the King of the Arena tournament. I want to be in that, which I'm not in this year. The Elimination Royal. I would love to win that, but I have to work my way up to it. And right now, I'm looking at. I'm thinking about aiming for the Extreme Championship. Yeah, the Extreme Championship in VWE. I'm thinking about going for that. Maybe try a different style and start working my way up to the main title there.
Now, are you a believer that like a good story is better than having a championship?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I've had lots of great stories. And
Okay.
I think my favorite was with Derek Colt, over who the better wrestler was, and we culminated at Wrestle Series. I can't remember which Wrestle Series it was, but it was
you got one going now. You got one going on now with Boz and Winlow.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I think he and Boz have had this one going on for quite a while. It's
Yeah.
just been kind of an underground thing. It's been kind of swept under the rug, but now
I
it's
will
been
say
brought to
this
the
about
light.
Baza. I will say this about Baza. He's fun to wrestle. He's a lot of fun to wrestle.
Yeah, Boss is a good guy.
Okay, so for anybody who is listening to this, and I know we've all done things in SL that we've regretted, and had to make amends for. But this is something that I don't think I've actually come out and asked, but it has been mentioned before. So, Curt, with all your vast knowledge and your work ethic and your history in not only SL but RO wrestling, what do you feel? I mean, we're talking about the titles, but what do you feel about these people who stay in the Fed long enough to win a title, then find a reason to cause drama, and then rage quit? Do you feel that other feds need to be? Oh, we'll give them a chance. We'll give them a chance. We'll give them a chance. Or it's like, no. If they've done this, it's going to do something else, and it does nothing. It does nothing for anybody. Do you feel that maybe they should be blackballed?
I don't think they should be blackballed, but I don't think it's right that they do that. But I think they're going to cause drama. Just if they're going to just win the big title, and then just cause drama and stuff like that. I don't think that should be allowed at all. Those are people that I call. I hate to use this word, but I call them posers. So, so
You hear that,
I
Paul?
just hate
You hear that, Paul?
I ain't a poser.
Well, no, you did. No, what was that? What was the promo that you did? It's like, I don't rage quit. I just leave when things don't go my
I leave
way.
when things go my way.
Yeah.
My character. Yeah. They asked me why
As
I
a
was
heel, I've done that. So what can I say?
That was when they say, what does a scumbag superstar mean? I'm like, I'm a scumbag, and if things don't go my way, I leave.
Oh yeah, yeah, and
Me
Well,
and
people do that.
Broly
People do
Blackheart.
that out of character, and I just can't stand.
I mean, like I'm not gonna. I'll admit, I came into this, and I talked about this before. Like, I came into SL wrestling new. I didn't understand the whole culture of SL. I didn't understand anything, and like my whole mindset was like, I got plenty of other shit to do. I don't need to sit here and listen to this drama. I'm done with this. You know what I mean? Like, but then I learned, like, I understood, like, as I progressed in SL and learned more about it, I understood that everybody's different, and this is something that everybody does to get away from the real life and all. I just took it like way too serious when I started, but like I understand why people get upset, but not so much because they lost a belt or nothing, but get upset and rage quit promotions sometimes. Not that I'm going to ever do it again, but I'm saying I learned my lesson before of doing it, because again, like, I didn't understand, like, wow, this is not even real. This is like a video game. Why are you worried about winning or losing?
Yeah.
Like, that was like my whole thing.
Yeah, it happens. It happens with just about everybody at the same time. Like I've had an instance where it happened to me too. So, I guess I'm one to talk. Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to us right now via YouTube, or if you are in here listening to us live in our on-air channel and you have a question for Curt, please make sure to let me know via DM or on the YouTube.
Well,
chat
unfortunately,
over there.
I gotta cut this short because I have somebody coming in. They're gonna put a new brace on my right knee, and they got to measure my knee. So I got somebody. They're standing at my door right now.
All
so.
right. Yeah, no
Oh,
problem.
okay. Well, Richard, okay, we did not know
I'm
that.
sorry
We do
about that.
apologize. No, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah,
That's
I
fine. That's
apologize to
fine.
everyone.
We'll bring you back on.
No, yeah, we'll bring you back on.
I'd
We'll
definitely love to be back
continue
on.
this.
Yeah.
Not a problem. So, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure to like. Please make sure to subscribe. Thank you, Curt, once again. Sorry we're having this cut short. Paul, you want to take us away?
All
Well,
right.
I was going to say, don't forget to come by LPW next Sunday because I have that match against SMF for the number one contendership for the LPW world title. So yeah, that's going to be a hell of a match, and there's a lot of good stuff going on in VW. You don't want to miss that either.
So check out Curt this Sunday. I think it's, what time is it? What time's our show? 1 p.m. SLT?
1 p.m.
1 p.m.
1 p.m.
SLT.
SLT, yeah.
LPW next week is the premier draft day. I will be on the show. Me and BK will have a podcast with the one and only Vince Aftermath. And what else, BK? What else we got? Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, all that nonsense.
All right, let's get the hell out of here. Everybody have a good day, and we will see you next time.
Okay, thanks again, guys.
All right, I stopped.
Okay. Sorry to cut it short like that.
Oh, I wish you would have said. I mean, if you